Most people think the first big milestone in personal finance is becoming rich, or investing, or buying a house. But there's a much smaller number that quietly changes everything before all of that. Your first $1,000 in savings. And if you've never had it before, it might not sound like a big deal. But if you've ever been broke, you already know. It changes how you think. Not just your bank account, your entire relationship with money. When you don't have savings, you're not really planning your life. You're reacting to it. A flat tire becomes a crisis. A medical bill becomes a panic. A delayed paycheck becomes stress. Everything is urgent. Everything feels fragile because financially, you're one surprise away from chaos. And even if your income is fine, the lack of savings creates a constant background anxiety. You're not just working for your future, you're trying to stay ahead of your present. Something interesting happens when you hit your first $1,000. It doesn't feel like wealth, it doesn't feel like freedom. At first, it just feels weird. You start looking at your bank account differently, not because the number is life-changing, but because now, for the first time, you have a buffer between you and life. A $200 problem is no longer a disaster. It's just an inconvenience. And that shift matters more than people realize. Let's be clear. $1,000 doesn't make you financially free, but it does buy you something else: time and breathing room. It gives you the ability to handle unexpected expenses without immediately going into debt. No credit card panic. No borrowing from friends. No payday loan traps. Just space to think clearly. And in personal finance, clarity is underrated because most bad money decisions aren't made from logic. They're made from stress. Here's the real change nobody talks about. Once you save your first $1,000, you stop thinking like someone who is broke and trying to survive, and you start thinking like someone who is building something. You start noticing your spending differently. You start questioning impulse purchases. You start realizing, I could actually save more. That's the beginning of financial identity change. And identity is what drives long-term wealth. Not motivation, not hacks, identity. Most people think saving $1,000 requires a high income. It doesn't. It requires structure. It usually looks like cutting unnecessary subscriptions, stopping random daily spending leaks, automating small savings, selling unused items, redirecting one paycheck or bonus, avoiding lifestyle inflation for a short period. It's not about being extreme. It's about being intentional for a short window of time. Because $1,000 is not the finish line. It's the starting line. The reason many people never save $1,000 isn't income. It's inconsistency. They start strong. Then an expense hits. Then motivation drops. Then they restart later. And the cycle repeats. But the truth is, the first $1,000 is the hardest savings milestone you'll ever hit. Because you're not just building money, you're building the habit of keeping it. Your first $1,000 in savings won't change your lifestyle, but it will change your mindset. And that's where everything starts. Because once you prove to yourself that you can build a buffer, even a small one, you stop living in financial reaction mode. And you start building on purpose. If you're trying to improve your financial situation in your 20s or 30s, this is the first real milestone that matters. Not because it's impressive, but because it's the first time your money starts working for you instead of disappearing as fast as it arrives. If you want more simple, practical personal finance breakdowns like this, subscribe to the channel. And remember, wealth doesn't start with millions. It starts with $1,000 and a decision to keep it.